Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are, and very warmly welcome to this our webinar on PISA and AI in education. So my name is Outi Suojanen, and I'm one of the board directors of Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce, as well the chairwoman of the education committee, and then the CEO of Tutory Institute. And I would like to give my special thanks to our embassy as well for the Vision Finland for organizing this event and this webinar. So I hand over now to Dr. Annika Vatanen, our advisor from the Embassy of Finland. So Annika, please.
Thank you, Outi, and I'm so happy to see so many of you online, friends of Finland and Finnish education. So welcome all to this webinar that is also a celebration of our MOU with the Thai Ministry of Education. So we are very looking forward to this seminar and also to future collaboration after. So I would just like to go through a little bit the program of today. So we are beginning with the Thai perspectives of education by Dr. Pichet, the Deputy Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Education. So he will provide his opening remarks and some information about the Thai context to start with. And then after that, we're going into the real Finnish experts. So we are talking about how we have all heard about the Finnish success in the PISA score. So we will hear from Dr. Pasi Reinikainen about the Finnish success story, and hopefully also some concrete steps on how Thailand can implement these also get these excellent educational outcomes. And after that, we're going into a very important topic, which is AI in education. Maybe you don't know that Finland has been a forerunner in AA also with a national strategy for AI already in 2017, and this is also has implications for education. So now we will get a really practical demonstration of how AI can be implemented in education by Arttu Linnavuori. And then in the end, closing remarks will be provided by our ambassador here in Bangkok, Finnish Embassy in Bangkok, Dr. Kristiina Kuvaja-Xantopoulos. And of course, then after that, we have the most important part, which is the questions and answers, because we of course want to provide you with answers to your questions. And we have received many questions in advance, and divided them also among each other. So this is our main aim to address also to address these questions. We have over 300 registrations today, and I didn't count how many questions, but we will focus first on these pre questions, and then also if you have some additional questions, you can put them in the chat. Hopefully we will have time for this, but of course we are also looking forward to collaborating with you in the future, and so you can also contact us directly also after this seminar. So without further ado, I think it's time to go into the program. So welcome once again, and let's start with the Thai Ministry of Education welcoming remarks.
Her Excellency Ms. Kristiina Kuvaja-Xantopoulos, Ambassador of Finland in Bangkok, Ms. Outi Suojanen, Chair of Education Committee, Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce and CEO Tutory Institute, Dr. Pasi Reinikainen, Chief Expert and Team Leader, Cambridge Education, Mr. Arttu Linnavuori, Senior Pedagogy Expert, EduTen, distinguished guests. On behalf of the Ministry of Education of Thailand, it is my great honor and privilege to join you all today. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce, the Embassy of Finland in Bangkok, and Vision Finland for organizing this important webinar on PISA and AI education, secrets behind Finland's success in education. The program for international student assessment, or PISA, is a significant global evaluation, not only for Thai students, but for students worldwide. The PISA 2022 results reveal that many countries, including Thailand, face challenges in achieving success. The next PISA assessment will take place in this year, August 2025, making it crucial for us to prepare thoroughly. At the same time, we must recognize the growing role of artificial intelligence (AI) in education. AI has become a powerful tool that enhances both teaching and learning in the digital era. It allows students to learn anywhere, anytime, and helps learners of all abilities engage more effectively with lessons. Teachers can use AI to develop lesson plans, create engaging educational materials, and design interactive learning activities. Now is the time for us to explore how AI can be effectively integrated into education to improve teaching and learning outcomes. As we know that PISA focuses on essential competencies such as reading, mathematics, and scientific literacy, skills that students gain throughout their compulsory education. It also includes optional areas like financial literacy and collaborative problem solving, with digital knowledge becoming increasingly important. To strengthen Thailand's education system, the Ministry of Education has established the PISA Committee, chaired by Minister of Education of Thailand, General Police Phumphun Chitchop. This committee brings together representatives from various ministries, academic institutions, and local administrative bodies to shape educational policies and drive improvement based on PISA results. Our action plan aims not only to enhance Thailand's performance in PISA, but also to improve overall educational quality. Achieving success in PISA requires strong collaboration between the public and private sectors to ensure long-term and sustainable educational development. The Ministry of Education of Thailand have three principles to improve education quality in PISA. First is to develop teachers' capacity and training, especially for the mathematics and science. Second is to develop the learning innovation by using game application and digital technology to encourage interactive learning. And lastly is to analyze the factors affect education results such as financial status, classroom with sufficiency of technology and device, executive function of early childhood and growth mindset. According to the 20 years national strategy, the Thai government's education and policy prioritize human capital development, which is fundamental to the country's long-term progress. As a result, the government is committed to enhancing the quality of life for all children from birth through adulthood. Every child should have access to high quality early childhood care and education at all levels. They should develop both academic and life skills, including science and technology, critical thinking, arts, culture, and sports. To achieve this, the government promotes flexible and inclusive learning pathways, incorporating both formal and informal education, as well as lifelong learning and bilingual education supported by digital technology and artificial intelligence. We also emphasize essential life skills and vocational education that equips students with the ability to learn to earn. But that's not enough. We are all ensuring equal access to quality education. This requires collaboration from all sectors, including government agencies, local administrations, and the private sector. A key priority is identifying and reintegrating out-of-school children back into the education system. Furthermore, We are strengthening vocational education and training programs to develop a skilled workforce of technicians, technologists, and specialized professionals who can meet the demands of Thailand's evolving economy. Therefore, the Thai government remains steadfast in its effort to expand educational opportunities and enhance teaching and learning quality nationwide. Recently, Police Chairman Perpun Chitchap, the Minister of Education of Thailand, introduced the education policy for 2025 to 2026, which aligns with the 2017 Constitution of the Kingdom of Thailand and the 20 years national strategy, and broader government agenda to elevate Thai education to its highest position under the guiding principles, happy learning, and join hands and work together. The goal is to bring Thai education to international standards through education reform that effectively addresses national challenges. Achieving this requires a holistic approach that focuses on both students and teachers. We strongly believe that happy learning is the key to individual success. To reduce the burden of both students and educators, we are integrating technology, AI, and digital platforms to facilitate learning anywhere, anytime, ensuring greater educational accessibility and equity. More importantly, the Ministry of Education of Thailand doesn't work alone. We collaborate with other ministries, international organizations, the private sector, civil society, and parents to foster a collective effort toward educational improvement together. Let us join hands and work together in building a brighter future for Thai education. In relation to this, the Ministry of Education of Thailand is enhancing foreign language proficiency, particularly in English. Our goal is to ensure that all learners can communicate confidently in English by strengthening all four key language skills: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. We are also working to create a strong network of highly qualified English teachers to support language education across the country. More importantly, we are actively working on one of our most virtual projects, Thailand Zero Dropout, which brings together multiple organizations to reduce school dropout rates based on four key principles: prevention, intervention, transition, and follow-up. The Ministry of Education of Thailand is fully dedicated to this initiative, ensuring that children who have left school receive the necessary support to return to education through flexible learning options designed to meet their needs. Now, the Ministry of Education brought dropout children back to education around 90%, and we are implementing the pilot project in Buriram Province. The Minister of Education gave force principle to all related agencies to cope with this issue. First is to update the information of dropout children. Second is to use Buriram model for further development. Third is to allow the juvenile offender to learn vocational education. And fourth is to encourage financial support both from public and private sectors. Through these collective efforts, we are committed to creating an inclusive, high-quality education system that empowers every learner and strengthens the future of Thailand. Now, we all know that Finland has been ranked as the happiest country in the world for the 7th consecutive year. And one of the key factors behind this achievement is its world-class education system. Today, this webinar provides us with a valuable opportunity to learn from Finland's educational success. Many teachers, students, and members of the public are eager to understand how Finland has built such a high-quality education system. Most importantly, we are interested in learning how to help students learn effectively while enjoying the process in line with our own policy of learning with happiness. Additionally, we seek to understand how AI can be integrated to enhance education quality, including its role in improving PISA outcomes. In closing, I believe that today's webinar on PISA and AI education, secrets behind Finland's success in education, will inspire teachers, students, and education professionals to advance their work and prepare for both the upcoming PISA assessment and the future of education. The Ministry of Education of Thailand sincerely thanks all partners for organizing this meaningful event and for their dedication to strengthening educational cooperation between Thailand and Finland. Under the MOU of education cooperation between Thailand and Finland, we are preparing to organize special activity this year on this issue. I wish you all a productive and insightful webinar. Thank you very much.
We thank the Thai Ministry of Education for their input, and now we're ready to move to our PISA expert, Dr. Pasi Reinikainen, to give his insights on how we can also Thailand can achieve these educational milestones. So welcome, Dr. Pasi Reinikainen.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy that there are so many participants. Welcome to this webinar from my behalf. I'm a chief expert in Finnish Education Institute and also working currently in for the Cambridge Education as a team leader and key expert in developing educational standards. I've been working in this field for, well, ever since PISA started. I've been involved in PISA somehow, all the cycles. Firstly, I was responsible for science part or scientific literacy and problem solving in PISA, also in other international studies like TIMSS, Third International Math and Science Study. And when little by little, I moved to PISA headquarters in OECD and worked there and did some analytical framework for Thali's Teaching and Learning International Survey, which was about teachers, and then also analyzed these PISA 2009 results. So I'm talking from my experience and what I think what is important. I'm also an organizer of so-called PISA camps, but now let's go to my presentation. I have about 30 minutes over here. I will talk to you about a little bit about PISA studies, since I know most of you know it already. What it is and what it's not, and then I will talk about the Finnish education system and something about Finland, and also about research on PISA, behind the PISA results, that what factors are in connection with good or bad PISA results. Well, the PISA, it evaluates 15-year-old students' abilities in reading, mathematics, and science. It's a tool for comparing and analyzing educational outcomes across the world. Nowadays, there are almost 100 countries participating in the next PISA round, with this 2025 this year. So in all the PISAs, there are also some minority areas. It is so that every 3 years, reading literacy, mathematical literacy, or scientific literacy has been evaluated or will be evaluated. And there's about, I'd say, 25% of the items are then from the different fields. And this upcoming year, there were some options for countries to take language, a foreign language test, and also computer literacy test within this. When I was working in Finnish institute, which was responsible for PISA, I was leading the problem-solving content as well. And mostly PISA has been thought that it's impacting policy making. It hasn't provided that much information or knowledge to the teachers itself. And most of the PISA results, especially the first results, initial results from each one of the cycles, has been, well, full of tables, and interpretation of the tables has been quite difficult. So, unlike in schools, PISA evaluates how well students can apply their knowledge to real-life situations. Those might be in school environment or everyday life environment, or maybe those might be in environments where, or situations might be in environments which students might face in their future. And it includes nowadays surveys of students, teachers, and school principals, and it provides insights into educational systems. It's very much standardized testing methodology. So when I have been working in PISA, I think that it's like a Rolls-Royce of school exams, I'd say, or tests, since all the details have been very, very carefully thought beforehand. So as I mentioned, reading assessment, mathematics assessment, and science assessment are in all the PISA cycles, assessment cycles. And one of those is so-called major, where most of the items are like every 3 years, like reading assessment has, or no, every third cycle, reading assessment has major role in these PISA assessments, and it means that it has majority of the test items in it, and also that background questionnaires are focusing on reading tasks in that time. Then there's math and science, and as I mentioned about other changing domains as well. So PISA has been, well, I was quite fast in going through the PISA, since now I would like to go to the Finnish education system, since it's globally recognized for its innovative practices and high student performance. All the levels and all the educational institutions have had very good results. But I think that the bases are built in early childhood and preschool education and care. And many of the international studies show that actually kids build their knowledge, skills, and competencies in very early ages. So there should be also a lot of support. I would say most of the support when they are not independent. Support and guidance, and of course love and taking care of them. The Finnish system, it emphasizes on equity, quality, and inclusiveness, and it ensures that all the students have quality education. Actually, we have very few of the private institutions or private schools in Finland, I would say that we have about 4% of those. And sometimes when we study when we have studied the outcomes of those are no better than, maybe even a bit weaker than in public school system. But before we will go to the educational system, I will highlight this Sir Michael Sadler's statement that when you are studying the foreign systems of education, the things outside of the school matter even more than things inside the schools. There are some social, cultural, historical, economical factors which do matter a lot. It's a society, and well, I think that it's also thinking about the citizenship. What kind of citizens and future citizens would your policymakers want to have in Thailand, which is a great country? Well, so that's why things outside, I was thinking that I will show you this. Finland nowadays it's quite isolated since it has land border which is open only with Norway and with Sweden. We have about 1,300 kilometers border between Finland and Russia, but it's closed. You might have heard Finland as a land of thousands of lakes, but actually there are more than 168,000 lakes in Finland. And the area of Finland, it's not that large. It's about 340,000 square kilometers. Finland, somebody say that it's land of white lilies, but I think it's land of forests, since 75% of the land is covered by forests. It's rather cold in Finland. Now we are facing some -5 degrees and snow outside. Finland, well, we got our independence in 1917. And since 1995, we've been a member of EU. Our parliament consists 200 people. And our national bird is whopper swan. The population of Finland is about 5.5 million. We have 3 recognized languages, national languages, Finland and Sweden, Finnish and Swedish, and then Sami is spoken as well in upper northern part of Finland, and there's education provided to this 0.04% of the Finns. We are like, I'd say, average income country at the moment. We have 14 universities and 25 universities of applied sciences, and the educational level is quite good, since 72% of the students have studied beyond basic education. Then some funny facts. National food is rye bread. We are the heaviest coffee drinkers in the world. We consume about 9.9 kilos of coffee. And maybe one part of our happiness is that we have about 2,300,000 saunas. And if you compare that with our population, it means that every second Finn has a sauna on average. I have actually 3 saunas. One is electric heated one in my home, and then I have a floating sauna on pontoons on a lake. The third one is in summer cottage. And we are also heavy ice cream eaters, 12.3 liters per year. Okay, and now you know something about the Finland and background of Finland, so let's go to the education. I thought that I will talk first about the key principles. It's equal opportunities for all the students. We have minimal standardized testing, and the focus is on collaboration among schools, families, and communities to support student learning. We have emphasized the states between different levels of education, so that the change from lower education always to higher education would be as smooth as possible. So, for example, from preschool to primary education, we have visits of students or children to the schools where they start to study and learn new things, and so they meet the teachers beforehand. They go to the schools, and I think it's very good in that sense. In Finland, our teachers are highly qualified, since we have almost all the teachers have a master's degree, and they have certification for education as well. So they are certified teachers. In primary education, especially in Jyväskylä, where I'm living, we have quite many teachers who have doctor's degree as well. And it is because we are in the university town as well, so they are doing the same job and are equal among the other teachers. Then we have ongoing professional development. I think that that's not so much what I see, that teachers can take part of this voluntary educational trainings or teacher trainings as much they want. Sometimes it's paid by the school and municipality, but many times teachers are so eager to learn, so they will pay from their own pocket, and maybe they as well use their own holidays to study. I think it's 2.5 days mandatory teacher training per year for each one of the teachers. But what's good in Finland, teachers in Finland, they have to follow the localized national core curricula. But they are able to use whatever kind of teaching approaches they want to do. They don't have to follow textbooks. They can also provide their own material, and they also collaborate a lot with other teachers in the same level and with different, subject teachers as well. Finnish educational system itself. We have first early childhood education and care, then pre-primary education, which starts normally at the age of 6, and the formal schooling actually starts at the age of 7. And then the mandatory school age is until 18 years of age. We have only one national examination, which is matricular examination in the level of general upper secondary school. And so after this comprehensive school, basic education, students have 2 tracks to be chosen. It's either this general upper secondary school, high school, or vocational institutions. Or they can also choose in some places a combination of these. So they make so-called double degree, vocational degree, and also this more academic degree. Then we have two kind of universities. It's like scientific universities and universities of applied sciences, which used to be technological schools. Okay, so and then there are no dead ends in Finnish educational system, which is important. So you can also see that from this slide that teacher education, it takes some 5 years. For early education and care and for preschool, teachers can have this 3 years bachelor's degree, but normally for basic education, you have to have at least 5 years of studies behind of you. And then, well, I would like to add one thing which is important. It's this adult liberal education. They offer grassroots education and continuous learning to all the citizens nationwide in Finland. It's very important for the adult population. It's also a very social thing to take, and many people make good friends among while they are studying there. And then let's go to success factors behind the Finnish achievement. So we have been performed very well in PISA ranking since the first assessment in 2000. Our students have excelled in reading, math, and science, showcasing the effectiveness of educational policies. And I will show the next slide. It's about the effectiveness of Finnish education system. I hope that you can see the whole slide. These blue bars indicate instructional hours, weekly instructional hours in school. Yellow bars on the top of the blue bars indicate the time devoted to homework. And so we can see that in Finland we have about 9th graders, PISA age students had about 23 hours per week of studies. And they did only, well, 8-9 hours per week homework. Whereas in Thailand, you had 32 hours of school time on average. Other 16-year-old, 15-year-old students had, and homework amount was, well, I think it's like 13 hours. I don't know whether or not you have then additional schooling or training in your schools, like cramming schools where your students participate. In many of the Asian countries there are. In Finnish schools we don't have. But then what is important over here is to notice that let's go back. These black dots indicate that there's a national average PISA score, which is divided by hours what students used in learning. And in Finland, our students receive some more than 60 points per hour, which they use for weekly in studies. Whereas in Thailand, over here, the last red arrow indicates Thailand. The amount was about 10 points per weekly hour. So there's a huge difference between effectivity of the school time learning and science performance. And I think that this is what you could learn from Finland, how to be more effective in teaching and also how to teach more effectively students to learn. Well, what else? We are recognized as the happiest country. I think that Thai people, you smile much more than us, and but still, I think that one of the reasons was that we have like strong educational system and overall quality of the life. It's good with the social support, safety, and clean environment. But then, what can we learn from Finland? What the teachers and educators can learn from Finnish system? Well, first it's this classroom behavior, I'd say. I had comparisons done already in 2002, I think I did this. It was comparison of PISA and TIMSS, Third International Math and Science. PISA's major question was, how well have students been prepared for their future with their skills? Whereas in TIMSS, it was what have students learned within the different subject domains. And if we will go to the next one, there's a line and there's Korea, Japan. And if PISA and TIMSS studies would have measured the same things, then all would be on this diagonal line. But however, this was not the case. So Finland comes there. Was it England, Hong Kong, Canada, other countries, British, Germany, Italy, Latvia, was Poland. Which is this? The last one. I hope that you can see the colors. It's Thailand, Israel, and so on. So I did analysis of the teachers' time used during the classes, and I did find out that there was, there's one, Chile, cluster analysis, and noticed that some of the countries, they had similar kind of classroom activities, and it seems that according to this information, that there are various ways to provide good education based on the strict curricula, but for skills of life, you need students' own strong participation. There was positive connection with the results in PISA, where students were doing their own experiments and there were a lot of independent student practices. And there was also like teacher-guided student practices where teachers were supporting them. But then negative, I'd say, outcomes with the countries where there was a lot of reteaching and clarification and tests and quizzes. So that was very basic analysis of these both PISA and TIMSS questions. Later on, I developed to my PhD these models of the 6 countries and saw that home background, students' free time, their school time, motivation and affection, how they like their math and sciences, and how they evaluated their own skills versus peers, and if they normally did well in science, for example, it has positive connections with results. I'm a bit hurrying up now, since I'm now going to the John Hattie's visible learning. As I explained, or tried to explain, that Finnish teachers are highly trained. They have also researchers' background a bit, since they have done their master and bachelor theses earlier. So they are able to dig deep in research material, journals, articles, and use as well to learn themselves. It doesn't have to be trainer all the time for them. So John Hattie, I don't know how many of you have heard about him. He's a researcher from New Zealand, I think originally. Hattie's work is based on more than 800 meta-analyses of more than 50,000 empirical research studies on students' learning. And I think that when I could have just said over here that this is the Finnish system actually. So there's like, if you think about teacher-student relationships which have effect, it's very important to have good relationship between teachers and students that fosters students' engagement and promotes academic achievement. There has to be as well a trust between teachers and students, and that's what we have in Finland. We trust people. Teachers, for example, are not checked every day by headmasters do they do their work, but they can freely operate and use whatever kind of approaches they see what's the most effective way and good for them and good for students. Then we highly encourage the participation of students to activities. Not every student to every activities, but depending on the students' own interest. And during the school time, we are trying to raise their interest on something. And we also have these group works and field trips and so on, which build strong relationship with students. And I'd say that in Finland, okay, now it's half an hour, but I will continue a couple more slides. So it's that they are not afraid to express their ideas, and in Finland there are no stupid questions because student will not get penalties of asking student questions. They are not embarrassed in front of the class. And it's very important to get feedback and effective feedback of the learning outcomes, and in discussive way, it's guiding students' learning and fostering personal growth. There are also feedback or evaluation discussions between students, teachers, students, and their parents every year. It's mandatory in Finland. My wife, who has been teacher for, well, ever since 1970, 89. Well, she says that these kind of evaluation discussions are the best part of her teaching, actually. So it builds trust between parents as well. And since they are all working there, teachers are working there, parents are also there because of the children and their learning. And then, of course, there's like instructional quality, which is highly important in Finland as well. And we use adaptive instructional techniques. So we think that these are one technique or one approach is not for everyone. Then we also cater differences of learning styles for individual students. We are trying to teach them, train them to find out what suits them best. There's an influence of the student characteristic, which is also there highly involved with results. It's the students' past academic achievement. And that's why I told at the very beginning of the presentation that it's very important to give as much support in the early ages for kids, since it I'd say that the views what students have about schools, it will stay very strongly within them. And it's also important that all the students would get some sort of successful moments. So when, for example, making tests in Finland and having those tests in Finland, we are trying to have easy tests easy test items at the very beginning, and then little by little they will get a bit more difficult. And for those who have fulfilled all the test items, answered to all of those at the end of the testing, or before the end of the testing time, they might have some extra materials as well. But we have tailored our instruction in Finland, like Hattie as well have invited us. So we are trying to build feeling of self-efficacy and motivations among the students. And we also try to build a mindset for the students to so that they would have self-confidence in their own abilities. And all these believe on yourself and how could I do better and so on leads to higher motivation and better learning outcomes for students. Of course, school climate has to be as well. School leadership and climate has to be supportive. In schools, I told you already about the parental involvement and support, so it's important to get parents as well support education and, for example, reading habits, and it's important to get parents to help students in their homework, for example. We have tried to build fantastic classrooms in Finland. However, nowadays we have so-called open and I would say transformable classroom, which are suitable for someone, but not all of the students. So this modern design has had also like bad influences. Some like it in a smaller and more quiet classrooms, but we have been trying to provide, even in new schools, or especially in new schools, this kind of private space for students who need to be in quiet place by themselves. There's also law coming in Finland where the cell phones have been banned from the schools. Then what's important is that our teachers work in teams. They do the planning of classes, actually holding the classes. They check the results together and they are acting together to improve their teaching. So I think I'm out of the time.
Yeah, you are over the time. So can you just quickly wrap up, and then we have to move on because we're running out of time.
So where you should focus is the not so much in the low cognitive demand tasks in your schools, but more or less as well to the medium and high. Low means that it's only like recalling the facts and terms and so on, but asking what is the answer for this question. But medium and high level tasks are asking how and why something is happening. Okay, thank you, and sorry about having this overtime. And this is conclusion that I think that Finnish educational system cannot be copied and pasted, but it can be adapted, parts of that, to all over the world. Kopunk up.
Thank you, Dr. Pasi.
I'll stop sharing.
All right. So I think we move on to Arttu.
Thank you, Outi, and thank you, Dr. Pasi, for that great presentation. Great to be here. Great to meet you all. My name is Arttu Linnavuori, and I'm a senior pedagogy expert at Eduten. I'm a teacher by training, so I have the master's in education, where I majored in digital teaching and learning. And part of my work here in Eduten is that I get to see different schools in different countries. So I get to meet the students and meet the teachers. And I have been training teachers all over the world for a few years. And like Dr. Pasi mentioned, part of the quote in his presentation, that the things outside the school are extremely important when it comes to the learning. And that's something that I have had the honor to witness in different situations of how it actually impacts the whole learning experience. And if actually we talk about it, the Finnish school system, the things that I've seen when I've visited different countries is that the methods that are used are not that different from Finland. And I have learned quite a lot from teachers all over the world. So like Dr. Pasi mentioned, that it's not about just copying and pasting things here and there, but just trying to adapt and find the perfect ways that suit the needs of the schools and suit the needs of the teachers. But yeah, what I'm here to talk about is AI in education. Try to find the opportunities and of course the threats as well. Then focus on the personalization of the learning experience. And the thing that I want you to keep in mind throughout this is try to figure out the way, or try to ask this question: what is the teacher's responsibility and what is the teacher's role in education? When we talk about AI in education, or in general, it's nothing new. The only new thing is, of course, the new sort of AI, the generative AI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and others alike. But for example, in Eduten, we have used AI for quite some time to support us with the learning analytics and to go through the data that we collect from the students in order to get good insight to the teacher on how to differentiate, how to personalize the content. But for the sake of this presentation, I think it's important that we focus on what's actually the thing that is being discussed at the moment and is the probably the most talked thing globally. And it's of course the generative AI. And how does this work is that it generates content from natural language or pictures or however you want to go about it, but it basically needs instructions from the user to give some sort of content. And how it works is that it has been trained with a vast library of content. So basically whatever you can find from the internet, you can teach the AI with that. And it actually analyzes the data that it's being presented and tries to find these patterns of when different pixels or different words or marks are being used in different situations, and it tries to find the statistically most likely word that would follow certain pattern. So this is how it basically works, and I guess you can already understand from this what the big issue might be, is that it can make mistakes and those mistakes are not always easily found. And that's something that we need to focus here when we go through this presentation, is that whenever we use this sort of tools, in any case, it doesn't have to be education, it can be any other situation as well, but understanding when the AI has made a mistake is a skill that we need to learn, and no better place to learn it than school. So in order to get the most out of these amazing tools is to, of course, and like Dr. Bassi mentioned, we start from the early education and all the base of how you learn and what sort of citizen you want to grow up is. It starts from there. And if we start to outsource certain responsibilities from the teacher to the AI, we might lose some important things here and there. So this is something that is a huge threat, of course, but it mostly relates to the users. So, like I mentioned, it is a great tool for the teacher and for anyone, basically. And the current situation is that I think most people use AI in one of two ways, basically. One would be that the user has a distinct line between the person and the AI. So, for example, the way I use it in my work is that I figure out an idea, then I start to refine that idea with the help of AI, but I am the last one to make the decision of how I should use that information, or should I use that information. And part of that process is, of course, that I do understand what I'm looking for, what I want. So I have the expertise on the topic that I'm asking it to do. So I am capable of making that decision. But if you start to use these tools without the prior knowledge or the expertise, basically, it's really difficult to determine whether the AI is providing you with actually reliable content or reliable information, or is it it's sometimes called hallucinations for the AI. So it starts to create information that is actually not true or not relevant, but it's very convincing in giving that information to you. So like I said, it is a tool, and the way that you use these tools, that's the thing that matters the most. So most of these like threats, they actually relate to the teachers and how they understand AI, how they understand the way that they are going to use that. So many teachers, for example, in Finland, use these tools to help them design lessons or help them design periods within the school or stuff like that. So it's more of a assistant in designing the teaching methods or the teaching learning goals for that lesson. But why it is so good to be used by these teachers is that they understand what they are expecting and what they are trying to find. So they are able to discard the knowledge and the information that they don't need. Then there is the other group of people who use AI in different ways, and it's not always easily seen where AI and where the person has contributed to some project. For example, a lot of coders work this way, that they use AI tools and to create programming together. And for example, one of our member of our tech teams told that was trying to writing a piece of code, and there was a mistake somewhere in the code, but with the help of AI, it was really easy to find where the actual mistake. So what there was one space extra where there shouldn't have been, and going through that those lines of code by yourself would take some time, but with the help of AI, it's really easy to clean the code, so to speak. So like in that way, it's really a great tool for anyone. Now, the AIs have been developing at extremely fast pace, and that's because they basically get more data all the time, so they learn more and they are trained to be better. They are trained to give more precise answers on certain things, and basically trained to suit the needs of the user more accurately. But what this also brings to the table is that when these AIs are used or trained to do something, if there are some sort of like anomalies within the data that it uses, it starts to remake that mistake. So that's why you cannot 100% rely on the information that the AI gives you. In the future, we can probably start to predict some learning obstacles for the users or for the students. And currently, it's more about looking at past data in order to determine, okay, there's a mistake. The student is lacking in some certain skill, for example, in mathematics, so we need to focus on that. But one question I ask myself here is that, do we want to start to predict learning obstacles? Learning is quite complex, and we don't fully understand all the things that happen there. So if we start to predict learning obstacles, which will happen, there will always be learning obstacles for every student in the world. But if we start to predict those learning obstacles and start to personalize preemptively, so to speak, then we drop one significant factor out of the learning experience, and that's making mistakes. So if we try to minimize the mistakes that the students make, are we doing more harm or good then? And that's something that we need to ask ourselves. Because in Finland, in the school system in Finland, like Dr. Pasi said, there are no stupid questions, and you are allowed to make mistakes. And those are extremely important, not just for learning, but for the future, when you understand that you don't have to make it right in the first try. You are able to make mistakes, so that will also help in the future when, for example, you start to apply for colleges or you start to apply for jobs. You don't always get the first one, and then you will be persistent and you know that, okay, I need to do this, then I will be able to get into there. So those skills are extremely important. So using these AI tools to start and predict and maybe even do decisions might be even a bad thing for the students. One thing is that what will happen in the future, that we will get more precise and more capable AI tutors, and that's, I think, is a pretty viable future. And there are already some AI tutors, and most university students, they use ChatGPT, for example, in an AI tutor way, basically trying to ask questions and determine certain things from that. But when the AI is trained, it will of course get better. So then the tutor will be better. And like we can see from the example here, we asked, can you explain the following problem? So there's a mathematical word problem, and it gives us a good way of going about this. But of course, if we start to do this with every problem that we face, then we don't learn those skills that how do we go about this problem. So we don't want to outsource certain really important things to AI just that it can do so. So again, I emphasize, what is the responsibility of the teacher in the classroom? So if we allow the students to just ask AI and give us the answer, we basically then remove the whole process of actually learning yourself and trying to figure out a way. So instead of just allowing this to happen, we should train models that actually help us little by little, so they don't give us the answer and the final solution of how to solve a problem like this, but to just guide us through it if we are not able to do that by ourselves.
Arttu, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to not make a notice about the timing that we are over the schedule. So if you could hurry up and finish in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, one really important thing is to know how and when we use technology. And getting AI into the school system is basically the same thing what happened when we first got computers into the school. We thought that, okay, now everything is going to be in the computer and it's going to revolutionize everything. And that didn't happen. We still use books. Then we get pads, same thing. Internet, same thing. So basically, it's nothing new using AI in the classroom. It's just a tool that we need to understand how and when we should use this. And of course, answer the question, why do we use it? So before we use these tools, we need to ask ourselves, what is the learning goal for the topic, and why does using AI will make it better? Now, like I said, these tools, they will have a place in education for sure, but they are not here to replace any existing and old methods. So one really important thing in learning and in education is versatility. So if we just start to use digital tools and use AI for everything, we start to dull ourselves and we don't get the challenge that we need. So using different working methods and different tools in the classroom, those are really important for learning. Now, what is something that we can do with AI is we can personalize more, basically. But this personalization, like I said before, it should not be driven by assumptions. So we don't want to assume that some user is not capable of doing something before they actually require help. So we want them to challenge themselves and make mistakes. So whenever you learn something, you can do more difficult tasks. Like Dr. Bashi mentioned in the the summary, we need to focus on the higher cognitive workload, so to speak. So we want to challenge the user and to get better step by step. Now, in Eduten, like I mentioned, we use AI to track the learning progress of the students. But the main focus is that we want the AI to assist the teacher. So we want to spot when the students are making mistakes and help the teacher to move on from there. For example, in Eduten, we have currently 750 skills in mathematics that we track and follow. And whenever a student starts to make mistakes on those skills, we can identify them, and the teacher has the ability to then assign tasks that support the learning of that skill. So we are not preemptively doing anything, but we want the student to practice, and then we get information on where they might need more help. So that's the main thing in everything. We want to help the teacher, but the teacher needs to be the one who makes the decisions. So just to wrap up here, thank you for the opportunity to come here, and I hope that you got my message about these tools. While extremely good and the opportunities are amazing, but the main threat is that we as users don't understand or know what we are doing. So ask yourself whenever you start to use AI in the classroom, what is my goal for this lesson, and why does using AI make it better? Thank you.
Thank you, Arttu. And now we still have some time left for Dr. Kristiina Kuvaja, our ambassador of Finland, Thailand, and Cambodia. So, Kristiina, please.
Thank you very much. I hope you are all hearing me. It's really a great pleasure to be here today and provide a few closing words for today's session. You've heard some excellent experts, and I have to admit I'm not an expert in education, but I am definitely a product of a Finnish education system. So I will give a few observations from my perspective, the way I have seen today's presentations and the topic at hand. I think that one of the very central beliefs in the Finnish education system is that it happens in a very different individual ways. And I think that we've heard that today also said by the experts. And it also should be fun. We learn when we feel comfortable and when we get satisfaction of learning. And I think that the presentations that we've heard today very much indicate that although there are also risks, artificial intelligence and digital solutions provide possibilities for these different types of learning, while they at the same time are also developing our skills for the future. Now, when talking about the skills of the future, we are not only talking about a specific subject or a specific discipline, but we are talking of skills such as multiliteracy, social competence, interaction skills, and also digital competence. And I believe that these are very much the skills that we need in the increasingly diverse world. I'm very pleased that we've had this session today to share experiences. However, I think that it was said very clearly by one of the speakers that we cannot transmit a model from one country to the other. So a Finnish model cannot be transmitted directly to Thailand. It's a different context, different questions. However, I would say that there are certain similarity what both of our countries are facing, and that is the rapidly changing environment that poses new requirements for our citizens and for our institutions. And here we are definitely in a very similar situation. And in this context, I think it's very important to note that learning is not only about childhood and children, and then when you are out of the school, you've done the learning for your life. It's question of continuous learning also in your adult age. We are talking of a continuous process of a lifetime. And Finland has definitely placed a lot of importance and resources on adult learning. And it's rather common in Finland that people in their adult age, they change profession and they take a schooling and education to a completely a new profession. And I think that this investment shows results. Finland is a top performer in the so-called adults PISA. And this is namely in literacy, numeracy skills, and problem-solving skills. So I would dare to say, based on these results, that Finnish experience has interesting ideas and solutions to offer when supporting skills development in a changing environment. And the session like today, I hope has served this kind of purpose. Now, finally, I would like to note that education is not only about making people capable and skilled workers. It is also about having skills for being an informed and active citizen. Education empowers people, and thus it enables equality. And there was a reference here that Finland is known as the happiest country of the world, and I believe that education and the empowering element of education is a key factor why Finland is rated as the happiest country in the world, with people who are satisfied with their lives. I would like to conclude that investment in education, including adult education, is always an investment for a better future for the people and for the societies they live in. Well, with these few words, I would like to thank again for our excellent speakers, and I do hope that the discussion continues, and definitely the team of the Embassy of Finland here in Thailand is at your disposal for any future discussions and collaborations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So thank you for all the presenters, very insightful presentations. And let's go into the questions. I have one very simple but tough question to Kristiina Kuvaja. So the question is, which aspects of Finland's education model are most transferable to the Thai or broader Southeast Asian context?
Well, this is definitely a very tough question, and I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer. However, what I can maybe say a few things about what seems to be creating interest here in Thailand when I discuss with different stakeholders about Finnish education. I think that one thing which raises a lot of interest is the role of teachers and the investments we've done to make sure that our teachers are extremely highly qualified and very autonomous in the classroom. I think that this is number one. Number two, I think that there has been a lot of interest in how the pupil, the student, is put into the center of the learning activity or experience, and how the things around the pupil are there to support the learning. And I think that which also was raised by our speakers here, the fact that we emphasize the individual experience of learning is something that raises interest here in Thailand. And I think that then the third question, which I think is something that for sure puzzles both in Finland and in Thailand, and I have noticed that also the Thai stakeholders are very interested in how do we prepare our pupils for the future? How can we today teach our students the skills that they would be needing in 10, 20 years of time? So I think that these are the three issues. I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question, but like I said, I'm not maybe the right person, but these would be the three issues that I can see that raises a lot of interest and very vivid discussion when I discuss with the Thai authorities who are involved in the education sector.
I think certainly teachers' autonomy and the learning environment make a difference, so that can be taken into account. Thank you very much for your answer. Let's go to a second question, which is to Kun Chitrada. Kun Chitrada, can you hear us?
Yes.
There's a question, how can Thailand leverage AI and global best practices, such as Finland's education model, to enhance student outcomes and prepare for the future PISA assessments? This is in the QA box, you can see some of these questions, and if you want to take a look.
Okay, can I answer a very short answer? I think we can use AI to enhance teacher training. Yeah, enhance teacher training with AI. I think we might use AI to assess teacher effectiveness and provide customized training. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think let's go into the third question. We are actually overachieving our timing a little bit. I think we can still take, if people want to continue, we can continue with the 3 questions still. So question 3 to Outi. What challenges might Southeast Asian countries face if they attempt to adapt Finland's education system to their local environments?
I think that based on my experience here, particularly in Thailand, but also other countries in Southeast Asia, is that one challenge most likely will be to convince the school leaders and teachers to use new technologies, particularly platforms with AI. So the challenge is to make them to understand that the technology will actually eventually make their life easier, and they, with the AI, they will let much more understanding of the students' learning progress and the areas where they need more support. So I think that's at least one of the challenges.
Thank you, Outi. Let's have 2 more questions, one to Pasi and one to Arttu. So about PISA, how do you see the role of AI in improving student performance on PISA assessment? And what are the key opportunities and risks in integrating AI-driven teaching methods? And also another question, that would it be possible that you could share with some links about best practices in Finland with the audience later on?
I will, and my slides will be as well shared, but the links, yes, I will. How do I see the role of AI improving the student performance in PISA assessments? I think that the basis of PISA-like testing, any kind of calculations and ideas, these lower order questions can be easily trained by PISA, can be easily developed by IE, but also these higher order questions. If you think about the Bloom's taxonomy, for example, not only that what is the answer, but how and why the relationships can be there. What is important with IE I'd say in any kind of evaluation and so on, is that if we can see the difficulties which some students are facing, or the whole classroom, which might indicate teachers' difficulties on teaching something, they can get individual support on those. Those are like the best things what can be given in my mind. Of course, the teacher's role will be changing, but it should still be the teacher-led activities. And if I think that another side of the coin is that teachers are relying too much on AI and lose their own critical thinking and checking, that's not good either. Also, AI can generate answers for students, and of course there are some ways to check whether or not the answers will be generated to students or are generated to students by AI. But anyhow, those are the things. But links I will send to you.
Thank you, Pasi. I think you are right that there is always good and bad about the tools, and you have to find a certain balance between them. So let's go into the last question to Arttu, which is number 7. What is the current situation regarding AI use in Finnish schools? And could you provide examples of how AI is applied in classrooms?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I briefly mentioned during the presentation that the current situation in the schools is that the teachers are actually using AI into some extent to help design lessons and courses. Few examples are that the teachers are using AI, for example, in arts and crafts. That's probably the best way to start practicing with AI is that start to create images. There are fewer mistakes to be made there, and you don't have to evaluate the information, so to speak, and you can actually start to practice how you can refine those prompts or those instructions that you give to the AI to get the result that you want. So that's a good way to start practicing AI prompting, in my opinion. And well, like it's been said several times here, that it should always be teacher-led. And if we think about the critical thinking skills of younger students, it's already difficult to find a reliable information from the internet. And if you start to ask questions from AI, it will use that whole library of knowledge and provide an answer to you that is most likely with some mistakes. But the worst thing is that you don't know from which source you got that information. So teachers' responsibility is extremely important, but still it's the skill of the future to learn these new tools, and that's why it's really good to start with image creation and these sort of creative tasks.
I think arts and crafts sounds a lot of fun. So happy learning, as there was in Dr. Pisce's slides in the beginning. So on TFCC and Vision Finland side, I thank you all the presenters and people, and I hand over to Outi, the chair of the webinar. Outi, go ahead.
All right, so also thank you on my behalf for all the presenters and all the participants. And like said, that this webinar has been recorded and it will be publicly available, and we will share the presentations material with you, with all the participants. So thank you everybody for your active participation and interest. Thank you.
Kopun kaap.